I'm standing in the ruins of my late wife's dream mansion, the one I built for her after she lost her battle with cancer 6 years ago. Just yesterday, in 6 brutal hours, bulldozers turned $4.2 million into dust while I was in D.C. on state business. The air reeks of diesel and crushed drywall. Twisted rebar juts up like broken bones. Over there, the infinity pool she sketched in her final days, now cracked wide open, water spilling down the ravine. At 6:47 a.m., the email hit. Demolition authorized for $38,000 in unpaid HOA fines. Unpaid. That was Vivian Pritchard's lie. I'd paid every cent twice. Receipts, canceled checks, her own committee's approvals, all saved. What Vivian never saw coming. 3 weeks ago, I was sworn in as governor of this state. If an HOA ever demolished your dream over lies, comment below. What would you do? Tell me where you're watching from, because this is how you take down a tyrant who made the most expensive mistake of her life. Let me take you back 6 years. My wife, Elaine, was an architect, the kind who'd sketch building designs on napkins at dinner, who could look at a bare hillside and see a home that belonged there. When the ovarian cancer came, she fought it for 18 months. And in those final weeks, lying in a hospital bed with morphine dulling the pain, she drew me a house. Not just any house, our dream home, perched on a mountain at 7,200 feet with floor-to-ceiling windows facing the Continental Divide. She wanted salvaged timber from old barns, wood that smelled like a century of summers and winters, every beam scarred with the stories of the families who'd lived under it. She sketched the infinity pool extending toward the valley like it was falling into the sky itself. "Build it," she told me 3 days before she died. "Promise me you'll build it." I was 51 and appellate court judge. No kids and suddenly no wife. So I built it. 2 years hunting down every piece of reclaimed timber she'd specified. The cedar from a Montana barn that still carried the faint scent of mountain air. The river rock for the fireplace. I can still hear the sound of those stones settling into place, the dry click-clack like nature's own applause. The custom steel and glass atrium she'd called the mountain's breath, designed to catch the wind and make it sing. When it was finished, I moved in. Ridgemont Estates, an upscale gated community 90 minutes from the state capital. 340 homes, peaceful, private. That lasted about 8 months. Then I met Vivian Pritchard, 61 years old with blonde hair lacquered into a helmet that could survive a Category 5 hurricane. Always wore turquoise jewelry like she was single-handedly keeping a Southwest gift shop in business. Drove a white Cadillac Escalade with vanity plates reading Ho Press, because apparently subtle wasn't her thing. HOA president for 9 consecutive years. Nobody ran against her. Wonder why. She owned a real estate brokerage in town. Her husband, Garrett, retired state trooper who still carried his badge like he was expecting to arrest someone at the community pool, ran security consulting for the HOA. The trouble started when I repainted my exterior trim, smoky quartz, a soft gray Elaine had specified. The architectural committee approved it in writing. 3 weeks later, Vivian appeared at my door like a turquoise-draped angel of bureaucratic death. That color is not approved. I showed her the committee's email, the paint code, their signatures. She glanced at it like I'd handed her a parking ticket from 1987. The committee was mistaken. I'm overriding them. I paid the $500 fine, repainted. I was still a sitting judge, had to be careful about public conflicts, but Vivian was just warming up. Over the next 10 months, the fines came like clockwork. My driveway lights, excessive. The native wildflowers I'd planted to prevent erosion, unapproved landscaping. She wanted turf grass at 7,200 feet, where grass needs more water than a rice paddy. My housekeeper, Lucia's 15-year-old Toyota commercial vehicle. That last one was when I saw the real pattern. Lucia was from Guatemala, 40-something, mother of 3, U.S. citizen born in El Paso. Vivian stopped her at the gate 3 times, demanded ID, asked about documentation. The 3rd time, Vivian sent me a formal letter. Domestic staff must park in designated service areas. There were no service areas. I responded in writing, "This is discriminatory." Her reply, "I don't see color, I see violations." By month 10, I'd paid $34,000 in fines, every single one documented, receipts saved, canceled checks filed, emails proving the architectural committee had approved everything she later called violations. Then I won the governor's race. 3 weeks after inauguration, I flew to D.C. for a mandatory conference. Day 3, my phone buzzed at 6:47 in the morning. 1 email. Subject line, final notice, lien foreclosure, and demolition authorization. I had 4 hours before they started tearing down Elaine's dream. I was 1,800 miles away. I called my lawyer from a hotel bathroom at 7 in the morning, trying not to wake my chief of staff in the next room. Emergency injunction, now. Tobias, courts don't open for 2 hours. You're in D.C. Even if I wake a judge, you just became governor. Every judge in this state either worked with you or wants something from you. This will look like abuse of office. He was right. Damn it. My neighbor Dale called 60 seconds later. Retired dentist, hands steadier than mine right then. "There are bulldozers at your gate." Through the phone, I heard it. Diesel engines, the backup beeping, the crunch of metal treads on the gravel Elaine and I had spread by hand. Film everything, especially Vivian. Already am. The video came through 3 minutes later. The excavator's claw tore through Elaine's atrium. Glass shattered into a cascade of light. Timber beams, each marked with her precise handwriting, snapped under the force. And there stood Vivian, in her crisp white pantsuit, arms crossed, sunglasses shielding her expression. When a piece of the pool crumbled into the ravine, she smiled. Dale caught that grin, and I immediately forwarded it to my lawyer. Evidence secured. I made 2 urgent calls. First, to Mariana, civil rights attorney, 38, fresh off a $12 million win against a sheriff's department for racial profiling. She understood exactly what Vivian had done to Lucia. "I saw the news," I said. "I'm so sorry." "Don't be sorry, be furious. Be there tomorrow at 6 a.m. The second call went to Kurt, 67, land use attorney, who had argued 4 cases before the state Supreme Court. "Tobias," I said, "she just violated 6 statutes. How many can we prove?" "All of them. I'll meet you there." I chartered a flight, landing at midnight in Denver, then drove 90 minutes through darkness. At 2 a.m., I reached what used to be my driveway. The smell hit me. Diesel, crushed drywall, chemical sting in the air. I swept my flashlight over the devastation. They had been ruthless, precise, relentless. But Elaine had anticipated everything. Buried 18 inches beneath the master bedroom was a fireproof safe. Her idea. Every architect needs a vault for originals. I dug through rubble until my hands found it. The combination still worked. The anniversary code intact. Inside, her sketches, material lists, notes in her meticulous handwriting, and beneath those, every receipt, every canceled check for fines I had already paid, every email from the architectural committee approving what Vivian later called violations. My father, a lifelong prosecutor, had always said, "The bad guys always make the same mistake. Paperwork may seem boring, but boring wins trials." Vivian had handed me my trial. Mariana arrived at 6, steel-toed boots and a crime scene camera in hand. Kurt showed up 10 minutes later in a pickup truck, legal pads tucked under his arm as if he were heading straight into court. We circled the property. Mariana took 200 photos. Kurt muttered statute numbers like incantations while taking notes. "This is the cleanest HOA violation I've seen in 40 years, Kurt said, crouching near a foundation fragment. "No certified mail, no hearing, demolition during a 4-hour window while the owner was out of state on official business. You know what this is? A civil rights attorney's dream and an HOA president's nightmare. I nodded. By 8, news crews arrived. Vivian had called them herself, ready for her victory lap. There she stood, white pantsuit flawless, giving Channel 7 her statement. No one is above the law, not even a governor. Mr. Kendrick refused to pay legitimate fines. We followed procedure to the letter. This is about fairness and accountability. I waited until she finished, then stepped into frame. The anchor's eyes widened. Governor Kendrick, we weren't expecting you. I wasn't expecting my house demolished with 4 hours' notice while I was in Washington on state business, I said, unfolding the notes I had kept on the bench. Here's the thing about HOA law most people don't know. It's actually quite fair. Before an HOA can foreclose or demolish, they must provide 30 days written notice via certified mail, hold a hearing, and allow the owner to present evidence. I got an email at 6:47 a.m. yesterday morning, demolition at 9. No hearing, no certified mail, just 4 hours. The anchor turned to Vivian. Mrs. Pritchard, your response. Her smile vanished. This is a private HOA matter. You made it public when you invited cameras. I held up a stack of canceled checks, $34,000, every fine paid. Here's the proof. And the other $4,000? Your own architectural committee approved those projects in writing before you overruled them. Kurt stepped forward, presenting the HOA's Articles of Incorporation. The president cannot override the architectural committee without a full board vote. Did you hold a vote? Silence. Mariana raised her phone. 18 homeowners are ready to join a class action. Illegal fines, discriminatory enforcement, demolitions without due process. Damages are substantial. Vivian climbed into her Escalade, engine roaring, tires throwing gravel. The anchor looked back at me. Governor, what's next? We let the legal system work. It serves everyone because the law doesn't care if you're a governor or an HOA president. It only cares what's right. Behind me, Kurt drafted the lawsuit on his legal pad. Mariana texted homeowners. Filing Monday, she confirmed. You in? Yes, finally, yes. Within 48 hours, Vivian hired a PR firm in Denver. Suddenly, I was the villain. Conservative websites ran op-eds. Talk radio segments vilified my mansion while I had campaigned on humble roots. Someone tipped the IRS, claiming I misused campaign funds to build the house. False, but the audit would take 6 months to resolve. My communications director showed me social media memes, me in a judge's robe standing amid rubble. Rich governor cries about mansion, what about regular people? Posted 300 times by obvious bots. Do you want to respond? She asked. No, let them think they're winning. Vivian went on a podcast, portraying herself as a fearful volunteer. I feared for my safety around Mr. Kendrick, she said, voice trembling. He was confrontational, angry, refused to accept rules. I listened while driving to Kurt's office, sent the file to Mariana, time-stamped 32 minutes, where Vivian claimed I verbally threatened her. Mariana texted back, defamation, added to the suit. I waited, let her speak. Next, Garrett appeared on TV in his retired trooper uniform. The governor's property was a nuisance, he said. Overgrown weeds, broken fences, complaints from 6 families. I checked with Kurt. Prove it. That afternoon, I knocked on doors of the 6 closest properties. Not one complaint. 2 homes didn't even have line of sight to my property. One elderly widow, Iris, began crying as she recounted the false claims. Vivian came 3 months ago with a pre-written complaint, she said, hands trembling, threatened me if I didn't sign. 4 years of harassment, trash cans, lights, mailbox, photos from Garrett. I thought the governor might fix this when elected, but then they said I was the problem. I assured her she would never be fined again. That night, I called Kurt. We're expanding. This is bigger than my house. 18 homeowners ready. Can we find 30? 26 with sworn statements, he replied. Petty fines for gardens, fences, paint. One couple owed $8,000 because teenager's 2004 Honda Civic was deemed inappropriate. Kurt compiled 70 pages, a detailed record of HOA tyranny. Meanwhile, Vivian made a desperate play. She approached State Senator Crosby Hart, my former primary opponent, offering to fund his campaign if he sponsored HOA reform that strengthened presidential power. Hart recorded it, sending it to my chief of staff. Vivian's voice. "We need to make it impossible for governors to bully community organizations. Property values must be protected." I saved it, didn't leak it, not yet. "She's panicking," Mariana said. "Panicked people make mistakes. Let her panic more." Then Kurt found the smoking gun. He requested the HOA's financial records, a legal right as a homeowner. 3 weeks later, they arrived. He spent 2 days with a forensic accountant. At 11 p.m., he called. "You need to see this." The table was covered in spreadsheets like a crime scene. Overhead lights buzzed, coffee cups scattered. The HOA has $340,000 in reserves. Last year, they spent $180,000. Look, $60,000 to Garrett's Security Consulting LLC, no contract, no work product. $45,000 to Vivian's daughter's landscaping company. Work looked like a middle school project. $75,000 fighting homeowners in court. People settled just to escape. "This is embezzlement," I said. "Correct. HOAs are non-profits. Officers can't self-deal. Every dollar to her family is a felony." Kurt slid another page across. "Here's the real issue. A $127,000 lien on the HOA from a paving company. Work done 18 months ago, never paid. Where did the money go?" He showed bank statements revealing transfers to a Nevada LLC owned by Vivian and Garrett. She collected dues for the paving, pocketed the money, and now the HOA was about to be foreclosed on by the contractor. I stared at the numbers. Years of theft hiding in plain sight because nobody audited the books. "She didn't demolish my house over fines," I said. "She did it because I was about to run for governor, and she needed me gone before someone looked at these records." Kurt nodded. "She knew you'd audit everything eventually. You're a lawyer, a judge. This was always going to come out. So she tried to destroy me first and handed us a federal case." 2 weeks before Vivian's deposition, someone broke into my construction trailer. I've been storing Elaine's salvaged materials there. Timbers that survived, her blueprints, the tool chest she'd used during construction. The call came at 6 a.m. "Mr. Kendrick, your trailer's been vandalized." I drove through dawn fog hanging in the pines like wet wool. The padlock was cut clean through, doors swinging in the wind, that metallic creak cutting through morning silence. Inside was worse. Elaine's design journal, every sketch, every note about why she chose each angle, gone. Her father's tool chest from architecture school, gone. 3 irreplaceable timbers marked with her handwriting, missing. Spray painted across the wall and dripping red, "Go back to the Capitol." The paint smell hung sharp and fresh. This happened maybe an hour ago. I sat on the metal step. First time since the demolition I actually broke. Just sat there, head in hands. Lucia found me 20 minutes later. Didn't say anything, just sat beside me on that cold step. After 10 minutes, "Miss Elaine would want you to finish this." The sheriff's department treated it like low-priority vandalism, so I called Rex Dunaway, ex-FBI white-collar specialist. 48 hours, he said. Rex pulled gas station security footage 2 miles down the mountain. Garrett's truck, timestamp 2:14 a.m., driving from my property's direction. Credit card records showed Garrett buying bolt cutters and red spray paint 3 days earlier. "Angry people are sloppy," Rex said. But Rex found something bigger. He'd been tracking Vivian's real estate deals. Turned out she tried buying my land 3 years running since before the mansion was finished. "She offered you 1.2 to 2 million, Rex said, spreading emails on my kitchen table. Land was appraised at 2.1. I ignored her, wasn't selling Elaine's dream. "Here's the play," Rex continued. "She had a luxury developer lined up, Aspen outfit, willing to pay 3.6 million, 600% markup on your land." One email jumped out. Vivian to her business partner 18 months ago. "Kendrick won't sell. We need to create motivation." Create motivation. She planned this before your governor run. Rex said she started manufacturing violations to force you out. When that didn't work, she saw the election as her window. Demolish while you're distracted. The deposition happened in a Denver law firm. Mariana started surgical. Mrs. Pritchard, you stated you followed all procedures. Let's review the demolition vote. How many board members voted? Unanimously. The board has 5 members. Minutes show 3 present. 2 submitted affidavits saying they never were notified. How is 3 out of 5 unanimous? Vivian shifted. They were notified. They forgot. So 2 board members are lying under oath? Her attorney, don't answer. Mariana slid the email across. The one where Vivian wrote, Kendrick is running for governor. We need him out. Find a reason. Can you explain this? Color drained from Vivian's face. That was out of context. What context makes find a reason to remove a homeowner acceptable? Silence. In this email, you wrote, Mr. Kendrick would bring protesters media trash if elected, that you needed him gone. Correct, he was ruining the community. Vivian's voice rose. His staff, his visitors, people like him think they can move in and change everything. He didn't respect our traditions. You wouldn't understand. You people never do. The room froze. Mariana, Latina, composed, sat down her pen slowly. Excuse me, you people? Long silence. Vivian's attorney stood. We're taking a break.
While Vivian spiraled, I was meeting with Hector Ruiz, structural engineer, old law school friend. We've got a problem. Hector sat in his office that smelled like coffee and blueprint toner. The contractor didn't follow EPA protocols. He showed me lab results. Asbestos confirmed in 12 of the salvaged barn timbers. No EPA notification filed, no air monitoring, no containment. They just ripped it apart and let it fly. How bad? Neighbors within 200 yards were exposed, including 2 families with young children. He pulled up photos. The contractor is Vivian's brother-in-law. She signed the work order, so she knew she had to. This isn't negligence, this is criminal environmental violation. Hector walked me through it. Asbestos abatement requires licensed contractors, air monitoring, sealed containment. None happened. EPA can fine $25,000 per day, plus liability for health impacts. Can we file? Already drafted the complaint. You don't even need a lawyer for this part. He handed me a folder. Photos, lab results, timeline, everything they need. While evidence mounted, the community rallied. Dale organized a fundraiser at the community church, Rebuild Elaine's Dream. 140 people showed up, not just from Ridgemont Estates, from across the county. People who'd heard the story, dealt with their own HOA nightmares, who wanted to help. They raised $68,000 in one night. I stood at the front of that church hall surrounded by strangers who'd become allies and felt something I hadn't felt since Elaine died, like I wasn't alone. This goes to a scholarship fund, I said, in Elaine's name for students studying architecture. But Vivian made one last desperate play. She tried foreclosing on Iris, the elderly widow who'd signed the fake complaint, $12,000 in unpaid fines. Iris's daughter called Mariana in tears. Mariana filed an emergency injunction. Judge halted it in 24 hours. But local news ran the story. HOA president targets 79-year-old widow. That night, my phone buzzed. Text from Rex. Garrett just hired a criminal attorney. Me? Good. Let him sweat. Kurt's paralegal found on a Tuesday afternoon while doing routine property records research a mechanics lien filed 18 months ago against Ridgemont Estates HOA by Mountain Peak Paving Company. Amount, $127,000. Kurt called me immediately. We've got something. I drove to his office. He had the lien documents spread across his desk, yellow highlights everywhere. This is a valid lien, Kurt said. The paving company resurfaced all the roads in Ridgemont Estates. Vivian approved the work. They finished the job, sent the invoice, never got paid. Where'd the money go? He slid over the HOA's financial statements. Right here. Line item, road resurfacing project, $127,000 collected from homeowners via special assessment. Every resident paid their share. So the HOA had the money. Had it. Past tense. Kurt pulled out bank records. 3 days after collection, the full amount was transferred to an LLC registered in Nevada, Ridgemont Management Services. Who owns it? Vivian and Garrett Pritchard. I stared at the documents. The pattern was so clear it was almost stupid. Collect money for legitimate work, transfer it to a shell company, leave the contractor unpaid, pocket the difference. How long until the paving company can foreclose? Kurt checked his notes. Lien's been active 18 months. State law says after 2 years they can foreclose on the HOA's common property, clubhouse, pool, entrance gates, everything the HOA owns collectively. So in 6 months, Ridgemont Estates loses its amenities. Unless someone pays that $127,000 plus interest, we're looking at closer to $145,000 now. I sat back. This wasn't just about my house anymore. This was about Vivian systematically robbing her own community, then covering it up by attacking anyone who might notice. Get me a meeting with the paving company owner. Rick Delgado ran Mountain Peak Paving out of a shop that smelled like asphalt and motor oil. 50 calloused hands, the kind of guy who'd built his business from nothing and took pride in doing honest work. "Governor," he said, shaking my hand, "didn't expect to see you here. Call me Tobias, and I need to ask you about the Ridgemont Estates job." His face hardened. "Been trying to collect for a year and a half. That woman promised payment in 30 days, then stopped returning calls. I've got a crew to pay, equipment, loans, overhead. That $127,000 could have kept me afloat during the slow season. What if I told you I could get you paid in full within 60 days? He studied me. "What's the catch?" "No catch. I need you to attend an HOA town hall meeting in 3 weeks. Bring your invoice, your lien documentation, and be ready to tell your story to 340 homeowners." That's it? That's it. You did the work, you deserve to be paid. And the people in that community deserve to know their HOA president stole the money they gave her.
Rick extended his hand. "I'm in." Back at Kurt's office, we laid out everything we had. Embezzlement, $180,000 in self-dealing payments to family members over 2 years. Theft, $127,000 collected for road work, never paid to the contractor. Civil rights violations, discriminatory enforcement against Lucia and potentially dozens of other residents. Illegal demolition, no notice, no hearing. Violations of state statute, environmental crimes, asbestos exposure during demolition. Witness intimidation, the vandalism of my trailer, Garrett's involvement provable through receipts and security footage. "This isn't an HOA dispute anymore," Mariana said, flipping through the compiled evidence. "This is organized fraud. How long until we can take this to the FBI?" I asked. "We could go tomorrow," she said, "but I think we should do it differently." "How?" She smiled. "In public. In front of the entire community. Let everyone see exactly who Vivian Pritchard is before the federal government steps in." Kurt nodded. "The quarterly town hall meeting is in 3 weeks. Vivian has to preside. It's in the bylaws. And as a homeowner, even with your house demolished, you still own the land. You have the right to attend and bring witnesses. We present everything," I said. "Every document, every recording, every witness in real time. And we invite the press," Mariana added. "Make it impossible for her to spin this." I thought about Elaine, about what she would want. Not revenge, justice. The kind that helps people. "Set it up," I said. "Let's finish this the right way." Kurt rented a storage unit to organize the evidence. Bankers' boxes, binders, timelines on poster boards like a prosecutor's war room. "Trial lawyers call this the story spine," Kurt said, taping a flowchart to the wall. "Every jury needs a clean narrative. Villain does wrong, hero uncovers truth, justice happens." We're at step 2. We rehearsed scenarios. What if Vivian walks out? What if her attorney intervenes? What if homeowners side with her? "She can't walk out," Kurt said. "As president, she's required to preside. Her attorney can object, but this isn't court. It's a homeowner meeting." Mariana handled witness prep. She met with the 18 plaintiffs in groups, teaching them to compress their stories into 60 seconds. Facts, not feelings, she coached. She fined me $8,000 for a shed that the committee approved. That's stronger than "she's terrible." Iris practiced until sharp. She threatened foreclosure over rose bushes 3 inches too tall. "I'm 79. I'm measured with a ruler." Rick Delgado rehearsed his part. "I paved your roads. Invoiced $127,000. Never got paid." She lied. Kurt explained the records law. Any homeowner can request HOA financials under state statute. They must comply within 10 days or face penalties. Most crooked boards bet nobody asks. I'd asked. Vivian fought it. A judge ordered compliance in 48 hours. Hector compiled his engineering report. 40 pages documenting violations. Asbestos in 12 timbers. No EPA notification. No air monitoring. Families with kids exposed within 200 yards. "This goes beyond lawsuits," said Hector. "This is EPA Criminal Investigation Division territory." He walked me through filing. Anyone can submit EPA complaints online. No lawyer needed, just photos, lab results, timeline. EPA investigates 70% of credible asbestos reports within 90 days. I filed that afternoon, attached everything, hit submit. Dale volunteered to live stream the town hall. 3 cameras, Vivian's audience, Q&A mic, YouTube stream, unlisted link shared with homeowners and press. Public meetings are public, Kurt said. Recording prevents he said, she said, also prevents violence. People behave when the world watches. Backup audio recorders in case Vivian killed the stream. My communications director briefed 3 journalists separately, each getting different research angles. State newspaper, embezzlement, shell companies, stolen road funds. Denver TV, discrimination against Lucia, iris intimidation, harassment patterns. National podcast, illegal demolition, EPA violations. By town hall night, my director said they'd have done independent digging. They'll ask tough questions. The night before, I couldn't sleep. Walked the property at 3 a.m., stood where the atrium was, found broken glass from Ayla's skylight. Pocketed it. Text from Mariana. Vivian emailed all homeowners. Meeting as homeowners only. No guests, no media. I called Kurt. She can't, he said immediately. Bylaws 7.3, homeowners may bring advisors and witnesses. Excluding them violates state law. He drafted a response, CC'd all homeowners. Per bylaws, homeowners may bring advisors. Exclusion is illegal. See you at 7. I requested a sheriff's deputy, not as governor, as concerned citizen wanting law enforcement at a contentious public meeting. Deputy Ramona Voss assigned. 15 years, no Garrett connection, neutral reputation. You're witnessing, not arresting, I told her. If laws are broken, report. Understood. Morning of the meeting, Vivian emailed, high interest tonight, standing room only. Arrive early trying to pack the room with supporters, but I'd confirmed 26 plaintiffs. Rick, Hector, Mariana, Kurt, Iris, all had legal right. 3 journalists confirmed parking lot positions. Dale texted noon, cameras set, tested, ready. 5 p.m., I drove to Ridgemont Estates, parked outside the clubhouse. Watched homeowners arrive early, claiming seats. Phone buzzed. Kurt. Her attorney filed to postpone. Judge denied 10 minutes ago. Mariana. All witnesses confirmed. Rick's bringing in's voice. Chief of Staff. Press gathering. This is big. Sun dropped behind mountains. Sky turning fire orange. I thought about Elaine. Her dream. About justice that helps people. 6:45 p.m., I got out, walked toward the clubhouse. Inside, 120 folding chairs filled the room, fire code capacity. Vivian's podium at front, flanked by 2 board members. The other 2, never notified of demolition vote, conspicuously absent. Dale's cameras already rolling, live stream showing 340 viewers, every homeowner plus press. I sat back row with Mariana and Kurt, Lucia beside me, her presence deliberate. 7 p.m., Vivian called the meeting to order, read from script. Welcome, neighbors. Tonight we celebrate another successful year. Reserves strong, property values up 12%. PowerPoint, new clubhouse furniture, repaved tennis courts, holiday decorations. Slide 8, expenditures, legal defense, $75,000. Murmurs rippled. Anonymous homeowner, middle row. Defense against what? Vivian. Frivolous lawsuits from a disgruntled former resident. Same homeowner. You mean the governor whose house you demolished? Vivian flustered. That matters in litigation. I can't discuss it. Kurt stood. Actually, you brought it up. Fair game now. Vivian's attorney whispered, move on. But Vivian couldn't help herself. The governor thinks he's above rules, refused basic community standards. We had no choice. I didn't stand, didn't speak, just made eye contact. The room noticed. Phones started recording. Board member Phyllis suddenly spoke. Vivian, I need to say something. This isn't the time. I was never told about the demolition vote. I was in Arizona visiting my daughter. You told me it was emergency. It was. Then why does the governor's attorney have emails showing you planned it 3 weeks in advance? The room exploded. Vivian banged the gavel. Order. We'll have order. But the room was chaos now. Homeowners shouting questions. Phyllis still standing, holding printed email like evidence at trial. Her attorney stood. This meeting is adjourned. Kurt's voice cut through. You can't adjourn during homeowner challenge. State law requires addressing questions. Deputy Voss stepped forward from the back wall. Ma'am, I recommend continuing.
Vivian sat down hard, voice shaking. Fine. Questions, one at a time. I stood, walked to the Q&A microphone. Dale's camera followed. Mrs. Pritchard, you've stated my property was demolished for failing to pay legitimate fines, correct? Yes. How much did I allegedly owe? She consulted notes. $38,600, and I refused to pay despite multiple notices. Correct. I turned to Kurt. He handed me a binder. I'd like to enter into the record copies of 19 cashier checks totaling $34,200. Each corresponds to fines you issued. Each was cashed by HOA within 10 business days. Pass the binder to Phyllis. She flipped through, face drain in color. The remaining $4,400. Can you tell this room what those fines were for? Vivian whispered to her attorney. She said, you're not required to answer without documentation. I'll answer, I said. 44. Refusing to repaint after you changed your mind. Refusing to remove wildflowers preventing erosion. Refusing to ban my housekeeper from the driveway. Refusing to remove a bird feeder you called visual clutter. Everyone issued after committee-approved plans. Kurt distributed packets to front row. They passed back. Committee approval emails dated and signed, followed by Vivian's override notices. Homeowner reading aloud. This says committee approval is void because president disagrees. Can she do that? No, I said. Per bylaws, architectural committee decisions are final unless overridden by full board vote. That never happened. Vivian's voice rose. You're twisting facts. You and your staff, your guests, you turned this community into a circus. My staff? You mean Lucia? I didn't say that. You wrote it. I nodded to Mariana. She projected an email on screen via laptop. Quote, Kendrick's domestic staff is a security risk. We need documentation of her legal status. Lucia stood from her seat, voice shaking but clear.
I'm a United States citizen, born in El Paso, Texas. You asked for my papers 4 times. Never asked anyone else, Vivian stammered. I was protecting the community. From what? A woman who cleans houses? Silence. Phones recorded. Let's talk money, I said. Where did the $127,000 for road resurfacing go? There was a budget shortfall. Rick Delgado spoke up. I paved your roads 2 years ago, invoiced $127,000, never got paid. I have a lien on this property. If unpaid in 30 days, I can foreclose on the clubhouse. Gasps spread. Homeowners shouting, we paid that special assessment. Another, I paid $1,800. Kurt explained. The money was collected, then transferred to a Nevada LLC, Ridgemont Management Services, owned by Vivian and Garrett Pritchard. That's embezzlement. Vivian's attorney paled. This meeting is over. My client won't be interrogated. Deputy Voss, sir, sit down. I'm a homeowner. I have the right to ask questions. One more, I said. When did you decide to demolish my house? After I refused to comply? After I was elected governor? Irrelevant. Mariana projected an email. From you to your attorney 11 months ago. Kendrick is running for governor. If he wins, we need him out. Find a reason. Explain that. Vivian shook, trying to speak. Out of context. What context? You planned this a year ahead, targeted me, my political career, demolished my wife's legacy while I was serving, 4-hour notice, violating state law, federal EPA rules, and basic decency. Screaming now, you don't belong here, never did. You and your people think you can move in. Garrett grabbed her arm. Vivian froze, still trembling. This is our community. We built it. We kept it safe. And then people like you. Phyllis stood. Vivian, sit down. You're done. Vivian collapsed into her chair, sobbing. Deputy Voss spoke. Dispatch, need a detective at Ridgemont Estates clubhouse. Possible financial crimes. Livestream hit 1,200 viewers. 300 faces in the room. Angry, shocked, relieved. I'm not here for revenge, I said quietly. I'm here so no one suffers like Lucia did. This ends tonight. 5 seconds of silence, then chaos.
3 news crews burst in, cameras, lights, microphones hunting quotes. Channel 7 shoved a mic at Vivian. "Mrs. Pritchard, did you embezzle HOA funds?" Attorney blocked her. No comment. Podcast host cornered Garrett. "Sir, did you vandalize the governor's trailer?" He pushed past. Homeowners erupted, standing, shouting, "You fined me $6,000 for a fence you approved. My daughter's Honda, commercial. Where's my road paving money?" Vivian grabbed her purse, tried leaving. Phyllis blocked her. "You're not going anywhere. Voting now. Emergency vote to remove you as president, effective immediately." Leonard stood, seconded. "All in favor? Hands up. Motion carries. Vivian, you're done." White face. "Illegal," she said. "Need full board." Full board wasn't told about demolishing a $4 million home. Phyllis. "We'll sort legality later. Leave." Garrett escorted Vivian out, screaming, "You'll regret this." 9 years of tyranny ended. Door slammed. Escalade disappeared into darkness. Room exhaled. Deputy Voss. "Statements. Knowledge of financial irregularities, discrimination, property damage, stay after." Hands shot up. 20, 30, 40 people. Rick, Iris, Lucia included. Journalists swarmed. Podcast host found me. "Governor, legal next steps?" "System works," I said. "Civil suits filed. State AG investigating embezzlement. EPA reviewing asbestos complaints. Deputy Voss taking criminal statements. Will Vivian face prison? Prosecutors decide." Behind me, Mariana organized statement givers. Kurt documented everything. Dale's live stream, 2,800 viewers. Comments flooding. Chief of Staff buzzed. National news in 3, 2, Twitter exploded. Governor takes down corrupt HOA trending. Vivian's "You People" comment viral. 30 minutes later, most left.
I helped Dale pack cameras when Iris approached with her daughter. "Governor," Iris said, voice shaking, "thank you. Afraid in my own home for years. Terrified to plant flowers, turn on lights, park wrong. Tonight, I'm not afraid." Daughter hugged her. Mom had panic attacks seeing Vivian's escalade. "Nobody should live like that," I said. "What you did tonight gave me courage. I'm filing complaints too. Mariana will help. 40 people ready to stand with you." After she left, I sat in a folding chair. Empty clubhouse. Kurt, Mariana, Dale cleaning. Smell of coffee and stress. Evidence board still up. Timelines, financials, emails, Vivian's corruption mapped. "We did it," Mariana said. "Not yet. Tonight, exposure. Justice comes next." Attorney General called. "Kurt, formal criminal investigation opening. FBI involved. Interstate shell companies. Federal." Dale showed his phone. Live stream archived. 8,300 views. People calling it the most satisfying HOA takedown ever. Comments. Accountability. Someone stood up. That "you people" moment. "My HOA does this. Where do I start?" Kurt, "Can we make a resource guide? How to request records, file complaints, organize against corrupt boards?" "Already started. Free and public." Outside, mountain night cold and clear, stars everywhere. I stood in parking lot where homeowners arrived anxious hours ago. Left different, empowered. Phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Governor, this is Carla Mendez. Water supply issue at festival. 32 kids sick. State says safe. It's not." I stared at message. Another fight, another corrupt system, another untouchable. Typed, "Tomorrow, 10 a.m., my office. Bring everything." Mariana, "You're not done, are you?" "Just getting started." Kurt locked Clubhouse behind us. For what it's worth, Elaine would be proud. I looked back, scene of Vivian's downfall. Tomorrow, a clubhouse. Tonight, a courtroom where truth won. "Yeah," I said, "she would be." We drove down mountain convoy. Kurt's pickup, Mariana's sedan, my truck, headlights cutting pine darkness. Ridgemont Estates slept, peaceful for first time in 9 years. Ahead, more work. Criminal trials, federal investigations, 32 kids needing clean water. Tonight, we'd won. Tomorrow, we'd win again. Arrests 6 days later. I reviewed water contamination files when Chief of Staff knocked. Tobias, turn on Channel 7. Live stream. Vivian's house. 2 FBI vehicles. Agents with boxes. Anchor. Breaking news. Ridgemont Estates. FBI executing search warrants at former HOA president Vivian Pritchard's home. Alleged embezzlement, wire fraud involving HOA funds. Phone lit up. Kurt, it's happening. Mariana, FBI called, want evidence files. Rex, Garrett, in custody. Federal Courthouse, 6 a.m. Watched Vivian led out in handcuffs. No turquoise, no sunglasses, just a woman out of hiding. Formal charges 3 days later. Federal wire fraud, embezzlement, civil rights violations, witness intimidation. EPA added criminal environmental violations for asbestos. Vivian bail, $500,000. Garrett, $250,000. Couldn't make it. 2 weeks federal custody. Vivian's daughter mortgaged house to post bond. Civil court victory. Kurt, Mariana filed consolidated lawsuit. My demolition case, class action from 26 homeowners, Rick's lien. HOA's insurers settled in 30 days. Total, $1.2 million. My share, $400,000. Enough to rebuild, fund Elaine's scholarship. Homeowners, average $67,000 each. Illegal fines refunded with interest. Rick, $145,000 plus legal fees, paid crew bonuses, cried. Iris, paid mortgage, donated $15,000 food bank. Biggest change, Ridgemont Estates. Phyllis, emergency election. New board, landslide. First order, new bylaws. Transparent financials online monthly. No fines over $500 without hearing. Mandatory third-party audits annually. 2/3 vote required for demolition or foreclosure. Attorney General requested testimony before state legislature.
They wanted HOA reform statewide. I sat in the Capitol building, where 4 months earlier I'd been sworn in as governor, now there as a witness, just a homeowner who had been wronged. The current system lets HOA boards operate with almost zero oversight, I told the committee. They can fine, foreclose, and even demolish homes with minimal due process. My case got attention because I'm governor, but thousands of homeowners across the state face the same abuse every day. They don't have lawyers on speed dial. They don't have media connections. They just suffer in silence. I handed out Kurt's resource guide, clear, simple instructions for requesting financial records, filing complaints, organizing against corrupt boards. Put this on the state website, free and accessible so every homeowner knows their rights. The bill passed 38-12 in the Senate, 67-8 in the House. The Homeowner Protection Act required 60 days written notice before any lien or foreclosure, mandatory mediation before legal action, capped HOA fines at $1,000 per violation, made self-dealing by HOA officers a felony punishable by up to 5 years in prison. I signed it into law at a ceremony at the Ridgemont Estates clubhouse. Iris stood beside me, Rick and Lucia too. When I finished, I handed the pen to Iris. "This is for everyone who is afraid to speak up," I said. She held it like it was a treasure. My granddaughter is going to college to study law because she saw what happened here. She saw that fighting back works. Within 6 months, 12 other states passed similar legislation. Vivian's criminal trial was set for the following spring. Every delay tactic failed. In the meantime, I focused on rebuilding. Not the mansion, something different. I hired a young local architect, reminded me of Elaine, showed her the salvaged timbers, sketches, design journal that survived the vandalism. "I want something smaller," I said. 2,400 square feet, sustainable, using as much of Elaine's materials as possible. "Purpose?" she asked. "It's not a monument, just home." We built it over 9 months with local contractors. Rick's crew did the driveway. Hector consulted on every detail. Dale helped with electrical. The grand opening was a community event. 200 people showed. Music, food trucks, kids running across a property that used to be mine alone, but now belonged to everyone who fought beside me. I stood on the deck, watching the sunset over the Continental Divide, the same view Elaine had sketched from her hospital bed. Different house, same dream. Lucia brought coffee. Executive residence manager now. State position, full benefits.
"Miss Elaine would like this," she said. Yeah, she would. My phone buzzed. Mariana. Vivian pleaded guilty. Federal prosecutor just called. 8 years, no parole. I showed Lucia the message. "Is it over?" she asked. For Vivian, yes. For us, we're just getting started. Vivian Pritchard pleaded guilty to federal wire fraud, embezzlement, and civil rights violations 6 months after the town hall. Garrett got 18 months for witness intimidation and property destruction. Sentencing quiet, no media circus, just a tired federal judge and 2 people who thought they were untouchable learning they weren't. I didn't attend. Justice doesn't need an audience. Ridgemont Estates transformed. New board, new culture. Phyllis served 2 years, then stepped aside. Board meetings shifted from confrontations to community building. 0 foreclosures since 2024. 0 demolitions. 0 discriminatory enforcement. Scholarship fund grew. $68,000 from the church fundraiser, plus my settlement, plus donations from strangers who watched the live stream. First year, 8 architecture students funded. First-generation college kids Elaine would have chosen. One recipient from El Paso sent a sketch for an affordable home. "Your wife would have loved this," she wrote. I framed it.
The conservation easement became official. 2 of my 3 acres permanently protected from development. Public hiking trail opened. Some weekends, families walked it. Kids pointing at birds, couples holding hands. That's what Elaine wanted. Not a monument, a place that gives back. Annual Mountain Community Day became tradition. Year 1, 900 attendees. Year 2, 1,500. Funds supported Kurt and Mariana's nonprofit, helping homeowners fight corrupt boards. At the second festival, I met Carla Mendez. Her son was one of the 32 kids who got sick from contaminated water. A year-long battle with the fracking company, state regulators, and dismissive lawyers ended in victory. Settlement included water filtration, medical monitoring, criminal charges pending against 3 executives. "Governor," Carla said, her son playing nearby, "you gave us hope, showed the system works if someone cares enough to fight." "You did the fighting," I said. "I just knew which doors to knock on." As the sun set, I walked back to my home. The smaller, sustainable one, built from Elaine's salvaged timber and new dreams. Lucia watered wildflowers she'd once been fined for. Purple and gold blanket the slope each summer. "Good day?" she asked. "Good year," I said. Inside, photos lined the walls. Elaine and me on our wedding day, the original mansion mid-construction, the rubble, the rebuild, Iris at the bill signing, Rick cutting ribbon on his expanded business, scholarship recipients at graduation, destruction and rebuilding, loss and justice. Email from the National Governors Association. They wanted me to speak about HOA reform. 12 states had already adopted versions of the Homeowner Protection Act, 15 more considering it. What began as personal tragedy had become a movement. I thought about responding, then saw the time. 8 p.m., late. Tomorrow was always for more work. Tonight, I poured whiskey, sat on the deck, listened to wind whisper through steel and glass, mountains breathing just like Elaine designed. Somewhere in federal prison, Vivian learned that power without accountability doesn't last. Somewhere in Ridgemont Estates, families lived without fear. Somewhere across the country, homeowners requested records, filed complaints, demanded justice. And here on this mountain, in this house built from grief, justice, and stubborn hope, I was home. Not Elaine's original sketch-perfect home, but a home belonging to everyone who stood beside me, everyone who learned that systems only work when people demand they do. If you've ever faced an HOA nightmare or a petty tyrant thinking they're untouchable, share your story. Let's shine light. And if you want to see what happened with Carla and the water fight, hit subscribe. The fight for justice never ends, but damn, tonight it feels like victory.